Good morning, everybody. Sorry it's taking me so long to get back to you with another video, but since most of you aren't watching anyway, so today I'd like to talk about trigger warnings. Now, if you wonder why the camera's shaking like this, it's because I'm using my laptop, and you're actually sitting in my lap, and that's me breathing. If it stops moving, call 911. Alright, now I'm going to get comfortable here. I don't know how long this video is going to last, but please watch. Alright, now let me go over to Wikipedia and I'll give you the explanation they have for trigger warnings. And then I'll talk about why I want to talk about it. Trigger warnings are warnings that the ensuing content contains strong writing or images which could unsettle those with mental health difficulties. So basically, what we're talking about here is if you were abused or physically or sexually, or you were in a war, or some other traumatic event like a school shooting or something like that, and you went to an event where this was discussed or images were shown, people would broadcast a trigger warning before this happened so you could leave. For example, schools, universities are putting these things out when professors are giving lectures about various events. You know, like, let's see, what's a good example? A civics class where they talk about war, or one of the mental health classes where they talk about school shootings, you know, Columbine, Jonesboro, that type of thing. Now, what led me to talk about this is I initially wanted to talk about Stephen King and some of the stories he wrote during his admitted cocaine period, and how he was pretty graphic in some of the pedophilic stuff. But that led me to think, should books like that have a trigger warning before you start reading them? Maybe on the cover or something. You know, like, there's a scene in his 4 Past Midnight, the novella Library Policeman, where the main character has a flashback to when he was a boy and he gets buggered, basically screwed. And that was the whole reason behind the whole story. I mean, the bad guy was a manifestation of this library policeman that the main character was somehow projecting. And then he has another story where a 14, 15-year-old student has a dream about having sex with, a graphic dream about having sex with his teacher. And one of the things that's left out of every iteration of it is the scene where the girl, Bev, I think is his character's name, has sex with all 4 boys. That's left out of every story. I mean, every film production, for good reason. So there's some really weird pedophilic stuff in some of his early writings. So that led me think about trigger warnings and how how they're not really necessary. I mean, those stories, and this is coming from somebody who was, let's see how to put this, affected by what should be triggering. I don't want to go into more detail because this is not the place for that. Besides, some of my family may watch this and I don't really want to talk about it in front of them. So be it. Anyway, as I read these stories, I don't get triggered. Mainly because I read a lot, and I've gotten through it. I'm not saying I'm completely unaffected, but I'm okay now. And it's because I was exposed to some of this stuff. Through literature. Back when it happened, I watched every special about it, every documentary, because I wanted to know what happened to me, why I felt the way I did. Yeah, this is already 6 minutes long. I hope you're still hanging on. I'll only go for another couple minutes. Alright. There's another quote from the Wikipedia article that says, Professor Metin Asoglu, who is a psychologist internationally recognized for his trauma research, says that the media, and I'm paraphrasing here, the media, instead of encouraging a culture of avoidance, they should be encouraging exposure. Most trauma survivors avoid situations that remind them of the experience. Avoidance means helplessness, and helplessness means depression, and that's not good. So, he's saying that by colleges and places like that setting up these trigger warnings, preventing people from exposing themselves to this stuff, you're basically feeding into the depression that builds from it. You're not saving them, you're hurting them. And then I read stories about colleges who set up basically rooms to infantilize these people who are affected by these triggered trauma situations. They get coloring books and various things you'd see in a preschool. But they're set up for adults. And that's just not good for the people. You really shouldn't do that. This is longer than I already expected to be, so I'm going to cut it off here. I might come back to it in another video. And if you liked anything from my story or anything, please like down below. And remember, we're human beings. We're resilient. We'll get through it. Thank you.